Good evening once again. Welcome to the UBC News Tonight, the 10 o'clock edition. My name is Wadulo, Arnold, Mugalu, Mohammed on sign language, and these are the top stories. Well, tonight, hundreds mark Palm Sunday and the Holy Week begins. Primary 7 candidates to seek PLE on Tuesday and Wednesday. Furthermore, Uganda cranes in Malawi ahead of Monday game. Still in sports, Spa Challenge Tri-Nations Netball Tournament. We'll be having some features from there. Once again, it's a pleasure and thank you for joining us. We're streaming live on Facebook and YouTube, so please do care to find those links there and share that we are live. To start at our top story, the Archbishop of Kampala, His Grace Dr. Cyprian Kizito Lwanga, has called for compliance with the COVID-19 standard operating procedures and the vaccination process as a measure against the COVID-19 pandemic. Lwanga's message was delivered by the Chancellor Kampala Archdiocese, Reverend Father Pius Malay, during Palm Sunday celebrations at Lubaga Catholic Church in Kampala.
Palm Sunday is a Christian festival held across the world that ushers in a holy Easter week. At Lubaga Cathedral in Kampala, hundreds attended the Palm Sunday festivity. The Mass was led by Kampala Archdiocese Chancellor, Father Pius Malay.
Kati abantu abattibwa bangi lw'osoma amawulire weewuunya kati amawulire gakukabirango by'abamu basseeyo bano basse bali bawambye bano basibye bano ebyo byansi byonna olwaliro gatuliza olunaku zino tukubirizibwa tulowooze ku by'omuggulu.
Malay also delivered the Archbishop's message to the worshippers.
Naye atukubiriza nnyo ku kirwadde kino ekya COVID agati ekirwadde bannange gye kiri kirwadde kitta kirwadde kikyatawanya abantu nga tuli mu budde buno obw'okwegayirira obukuŋŋaanya abantu abangi tusobole okulaba nga tugoberera amateeka.
Palm Sunday is normally followed by Holy Thursday, Good Friday, a day Jesus Christ was crucified, the Saturday Vigil, then Easter Sunday, the day Jesus Christ resurrected.
Sawa munana gwennyini tujja kubeera wano mu bifo byaffe tusome ku buli omusalaba nga bwe tutyo nga bwe kiri naye ng'abantu basigadde batudde mu bifo byabwe. So mu kigenderero ekyo ate ku ssaawa 9 zennyini tujja kutandika litajje ow'omusalaba.
However, this year's festivities are partly scientific, as Christians will have to observe social distancing, put on face masks and wash their hands with soap and water as guided by governments. Robert Onyango, UBC News, Kampala.
In another related development, congregants at Namirembe Cathedral in Kampala have been called to employ family-strengthening modes to promote peaceful coexistence in homes. Reverend Canon Jonathan Chisauzi blames men for fueling domestic violence through what he describes as treating women as property. Chisauzi, who was also leading the Palm Sunday service, encourages men to allow wives attend church to ensure stability of families. These are the details.
Não
Palm Sunday celebrations in Karenga District, Karamoja sub-region were conducted in a jovial mood despite the undergoing cattle rustling in the area. Now, religious leaders thanked government for managing COVID-19 and getting the vaccine. These are the details.
To every believer in the world, Palm Sunday is considered as an important day symbolizing peace and victory. Palm Sunday is the day as Christ entered Jerusalem. Karenga District, Karamoja sub-region believers have turned up in big numbers to celebrate Palm Sunday. In an interview with Reverend Jonathan Adome of St. James Church of Uganda, he explained to us how this day is worthy in the Christian faith.
It's a yearly ritual. It's a yearly activity. I don't know if you have actually sit down to analyze within yourself how you feel during Easter period, during the Holy Week, starting from Monday, Thursday. I don't know if you are having any different feelings or a personal feeling.
The gospel of the day has been peace and asking believers to respond to COVID-19 vaccination program and accept to be vaccinated as government is recommending.
Jesus is soul. Yes, we need the soul. We need the heavenly soul. And that is Jesus. We need to welcome Jesus. We need to welcome Jesus.
However, majority of the people take COVID-19 leisurely and many were seen during prayers without masks. Religious leaders have called for peace and asked cattle raiders to drop old bad culture practices.
Minister for Information and National Guidance, Judith Nabakova, has dismissed allegations that President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni's jab was not an AstraZeneca vaccine. Now, this was during a press briefing held at the ICT Ministry in Kampala.
President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni and the First Lady Janet Kataha Museveni received their first dose of AstraZeneca vaccine jab as a protection against COVID-19 this Saturday. The Minister for Information and National Guidance, Judith Nabakova, confirmed to the media this Sunday that indeed the President received an AstraZeneca vaccine jab along with the First Lady, Janet Kataha Museveni.
We hear a lot of speculations about the vaccine that was used by His Excellency. People say it was a different vaccine, probably it could have been water. I think we should stop speculating. By the time a head of state, a fountain of honor, decides to be vaccinated, it shows that he has received all the information relating to the vaccines we have in the country, and he used the same vaccine which Minister of Health is using to vaccinate Ugandans. So, I call upon Ugandans, especially those who are fond of, saturating false information, rumors, please, you should stop it.
Nabakova also appeals to the public to follow suit of their leaders' example and accept the vaccination against COVID-19.
So the most important thing is to teach Ugandans, sensitize them why they should be vaccinated and why they should appreciate and embrace this program of vaccination. But if we try to mix the information, then at the end of the day, people will not appreciate. We shall find many people, including those who are supposed to be benefiting the high-risk categories, from hiding. So, as media, please try to educate people. Let us try to sensitize. Let us try to be exemplary, and let us try to lead the way to save our population, save ourselves, but also prevent the devastating effects of this pandemic.
Nabakova also wished primary 7 candidates who are writing their PRE exams this week success. She warns them against cheating the exams, but rather advises them to be confident as they enter the examinations room.
I want to encourage parents to support the candidates. The communities, please, you are urged to support our candidates. I know we are entering into a Holy Week, but let us concentrate on supporting our children to enable them have successful exams. I know they could be now, this is the last hour, there could be some people who are coming up, you know, we have papers, we have this is like your exam which you are going to do on Tuesday or Wednesday. Please ignore.
As a board, we've done everything possible to ensure that we have the examinations reach even the last candidate in the last village, wherever they may be. And we are working with various personnel in the field. We have a total of over 50,000 personnel in the field who are going to be helping us conduct these examinations. And these include the invigilators, the scouts, the supervisors, the monitors, and as well as an unspecified number of security personnel who are going to be out there to ensure that the security of the examinations, security of the candidates, and all our field personnel is guaranteed. So we want to caution against anybody who would like to get involved in any form of malpractice or even trying to disorganize the examination process, that we are alert and we're not going to let anybody disorganize this examination.
Over 74,000 primary 7 candidates are writing their final exams this Tuesday and Wednesday across the country this week. File compiled by Andrew Sebira for UBC News.
We do beg your pardon, that is 740,000 PLE candidates. Now, to that same note, Uganda National Examination Board has confirmed that all is set for the primary leaving examinations. The exams begin on Tuesday and end on Wednesday, 31st of March in the evening. At least 740,000 primary 7 candidates are set to sit their 2020 final primary leaving examinations across the country. UNEB, through its public relations officer, Jennifer Kalule Musamba, warns parents, pupils and the general public to shun examination malpractices of any kind.
In all, we have a total of 811 candidates, and out of these, 53% are females. And among all these candidates, 68.4 are funded by the government under the universal primary education. We do expect these candidates to begin writing the examinations on Tuesday, the 30th of March. We'll be starting off with mathematics. As a board, we've done everything possible to ensure that we have the examinations reach even the last candidate in the last village, wherever they may be. And we are working with various personnel in the field. We have a total of over 50,000 personnel in the field who are going to be helping us conduct these examinations. And these include the invigilators, the scouts, the supervisors, the monitors, and as well as an unspecified number of security personnel who are going to be out there to ensure that the security of the examinations, security of the candidates, and all our field personnel is guaranteed. So we want to caution against anybody who would like to get involved in any form of malpractice or even trying to disorganize the examination process, that we are alert and we're not going to let anybody disorganize this examination. We all realize that the primary leaving examination is a very important examination, not just for the country, but also in the lives of these candidates. It is the first national examination they are doing, and as such, there's a lot of anxiety between the parents, the candidates, and the teachers themselves. In most cases, the marks which the candidates get at this level determine their next level of education. It determines which schools they are going to go to, and almost the entire education career that they are going to, as they go on with their lives. So there's a lot of anxiety. Many people would do anything to support their children to perform well, and that is why there's a there's a lot of temptation to get into examination malpractice. However, we want to caution everybody out there, want to caution the parents, the teachers, that please do not mislead these candidates. We want to assure people that these candidates have studied enough. There's been concern that maybe they've not been able to study enough. However, the syllabus covers the entire 7 years, and we are certain that what they have covered is enough to help them pass this examination. So other than getting them into practices which are likely to get them to cancel their results. Let's just support them, let's give them the moral support, assure them they are able to do it. Let's pray for them, and let's give them the moral support and encourage them. Then they'll be able to do the examinations, they'll be able to pass. They have what it takes to pass on their own. We are aware of people who are out there who are trying to vend fake papers. They're trying to see that they masquerade, they mislead the public, that they have the question papers. But I can assure you, nobody, I repeat, nobody has access to the 2020 PLE examination, and no one should mislead you. And we want to tell them that we are tracking them. We are working with a number of security agencies who are helping us to track them. And if anybody is caught even just trying to disseminate this paper, either on social media or any other media, they will be held culpable. We did have a briefing for the candidates on Friday 26th. And after the briefing, we do not expect classes to be continuing this time round. So just in case you are found coaching or teaching or doing anything with the candidates, you will be taken to be judged as examination malpractice. So we want to caution teachers out there, please do not engage these candidates into any form of coaching at this time. Let them rest, let them revise on their own, let them relax, let them prepare emotionally. So I think we've given them enough. Let's leave them to go out there on their own.
And that's Jennifer Kalule Musamba, UNEB spokesperson. In another related development, the Director of Education Services, Kampala Capital City Authority, Juliet Nambi Namudu, has cautioned learners to desist from indulging into early sex, for it can lead to unwanted pregnancies. Juliet Nambi made these remarks at the briefing of candidates for St. Peter's Primary School in Nsambya.
The outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic plus long holiday for school-going children left many pregnant, although they were allowed to write their final examinations. This has made the Director, Education Services, Kampala Capital City Authority, Juliet Nambi, urge parents to have a keen eye on their children, especially girls. At a briefing of candidates at St. Peter's Primary School in Zambia, Juliet Nambi said examinations have been already set and warned teachers and parents from engaging their children in examination malpractices.
All here because God has allowed us to be. We are alive in this country because God has allowed us to be. Many people have died due to COVID-19. But we're here. Can we give God a big round of applause, please?
The school took this opportunity to bid farewell to their head teacher, Senabulia Francis, and is optimistic of better grades for the candidates.
Glad to be here to see all the candidates that I left in Primary 7, and I would like to wish them success. We have been here to pray for them and to wish them success in their upcoming examination they are going to write next week on Tuesday and Wednesday. I know despite the COVID, they have been prepared very well because the team in St. Peter's has been very hard work, and I know the candidates are going to come out with flying colors. I'd like to...
Reverend Father Kavuma Peter urged candidates to put their trust in God, for he never fails.
And also, I encourage them to be focused, to set goals, more points that we want to get and work for them, being focused and also be positive and also believing in themselves.
Primary 7 candidates are to write their final examinations on Tuesday and Wednesday next week.
A group of National Unity Platform coordinators from the Elgon Region districts of Sironko, Bududa and Manafwa, among others, have denounced the National Unity Platform party. They made this revelation to Mzee Yenderea Task Force members on counts of the empty promises made by the National Unity Platform party leaders, and these are the details.
Opposition extremists used the advantage of the youth in Bugisu sub-region, especially Mbale City, to influence youth into riots, but following the indulgency of Mzee Yenderea Task Force members, they seem to have abandoned the vice. Among the defectors is the National Unity Platform mobilizer, Bududa District, Irene Buteme Masanga, who was promised to further her studies but in vain.
Having evaluated, gauged the situation, I realized it's only President Yoweri Museveni who can lead the country. And to me, I'm standing and I'm telling the whole country that I've crossed. I'm back home. I'm for movement.
The defectors thanked Muzei and area task force members for remaining on ground even after elections to assess community problems and challenges, and asked the appointing authority to consider their proposals.
Advice I give to my fellow youth outside there, please don't be covered by the NUP members. We have got the right to change and come out as NRM members. Please, if you know that you're a NUP member outside there, I beg in the name of God, change and come to NRM, because NRM is the best.
Defectors warned opposition leaders, especially from the National Unity Platform, against engaging youth in activities that lure them into riots.
I defect NUP and I join NRM because of the light that I've seen and because of the achievement NRM has brought in the country. I personally join NRM without any influence of money, as it is said that NRM uses money to defect people from other parties, but it is out of my heart and choice.
The defectors were formally welcomed home by Muzei and area task force members and were warned against political critics because they have their own agenda.
That we have been misled by our leader and we are just used, and you find out that in most cases for us who are down here, we suffer the consequences of the riots and the other things that happen, like in violence. But you find out that those people who are on top, they are not harmed. So I would, in my opinion, no one has forced me to leave the party. No one has given me money, but I decide as me, as a person, as a coordinator, to leave NUP and join NRM.
The National Unity Platform coordinator, Sironko District Masaba Derek, says they have a challenge of unemployment which has been used by the opposition to win numbers.
Many youth are unemployed, of which being unemployed is being like a chance for the NUP supporters, for the NUP leaders to take it as an advantage to tell the people of Sironko to go into rioting, which is not bad, which is not good actually. So I just urge every youth in Sironko to open up their eyes.
The National Unity Platform seems to be on the verge of collapse following the continued defections of members, especially youth, to the National Resistance Movement.
I have accepted to work with the government. I was approached and we had a discussion that has been fruitful, and in our discussion I've realized where we have been, we desired to have a destination that is bright. From today, as I've said, I'm working with the government. It's not as they have always believed us that we are anti-government. We are not anti-government. We have not had opportunities like this one. And we have not had time to have nice people who have approached me and talked to me as for now.
Sudat Kai, UBC.
In another developing story, the body of Bob Kasango has finally been laid to rest in his in-laws' home in Gweri, Mugasani, North Division of Fort Portal Tourism City. The burial for the late lawyer Bob Kasango started with a church service led by Ignite Life Church in Gweri. These are the details.
The decision to bury Kasango in Fort Portal was reached following a court ruling that resolved the row between the wife and the deceased family on where to bury the late lawyer. Nice Bitalabeho Kasango, the wife to the deceased, in her speech pledged to forget past and cooperate with her late husband's family.
This is not a fight between you and I. This was just for Bob's desires and wishes to be met. We might go our separate ways or maybe be together, I don't know, but just always know that we shall respect you as Bob's mother.
In attendance was also Kasango's father, Sam Okero, who attributed his son's death to the intellectual nature that he was unable to be challenged back and the matter was taken personal.
He challenged some powers that be, to the extent that they felt like they were grasshoppers. And so, because they didn't manage to challenge him intellectually, they turned it personal and used their positions to say, okay, we shall see.
The children commended their father for the unique love and parenting towards them.
There was not a day where we never had any clothes on our backs, any shelter, or any food on the table.
Andrew Mwenda, a friend to Bob, had no kind words to the judiciary, accusing the system for failing his friend to get medical attention, leading to his death.
The denial of his passport to go and get treatment was finally proven that Bob was not faking an illness. He had a serious cardinal condition. So rather he had a critical condition, health condition, which required urgent medical attention. In a country where people who have been accused of rape, defilement, robbery, treason and terrorism, and they are every day given bail, I could not understand why Bob would be denied bail in circumstances where the government followed every single procedure to pay money and deliver it to his bank account.
Kasango is survived by a wife, 3 children and a mother.
In other news, gender issues in Uganda have grown to be taught from an equality perspective, where women are being considered equal to men, something that risks promoting misleading mindsets. Now, I had a chance to talk to Joan Nabatanzi, a youth gender activist who, through her organization, Girl Now, is challenging this norm and is advising fellow gender activists to rethink their approach to gender issues basing on equity. As a child, Joan narrates how she was a victim of bullying, something that affected her performance at school.
I used to be a very small and tiny girl back then in primary school, and I was a victim of too much teasing and bullying. On so many occasions, I was bullied by both girls and boys, and I used to feel really bad, and it even made me perform really badly.
Her story, however, turned for the better in 2010, when she was transformed by a girl empowerment program. She says this inspired her to start the Girl Now Foundation to help girls like her.
And with that background, I understood that many of us girls need to, have that kind of realizing of what really we need to do in our lives, other than having to sit back and coil back, because when we do so, the world would not understand our potential, and yet there's a lot of huge untapped potential.
The Girl Now Foundation is a budding gender-based organization working with adolescent girls, set out to create a conducive environment where both male and female genders can coexist more efficiently.
How about they know that what a man can do, I can do? That is what Girl Now is looking at. We want to make sure that the girls can know their ability, know their fullest potential. If a man can be an engineer, I can be an engineer. If a man can be a carpenter, I can be a carpenter. We are trying to eliminate that stereotype.
It's not about being necessarily equal, but it's about understanding that we are different. The male and the females are different creatures who have different things that they're supposed to do. Our differences, please mark me right, do not mean that one gender is superior. But we have to all understand that we are different and work through those differences to achieve equity at the end of the day, and then equality will not be an issue.
As a gender activist, she believes that gender issues in Uganda ought to be addressed equitably as opposed to equally.
We do not keep the boys extremely out because we understand that the boys must also join us in the fight for empowerment, for gender equality and gender equity, because at the end of the day we have to coexist in the society. But then when it comes to the girl child, we have all noticed and seen how much the girl child is left behind, and it all goes back to the social culture system that we've grown in, whereby by culture we are taught that we are submissive. You actually find out that in many communities up to today, the girls only grow when they're not looking at them becoming CEOs, when they're not looking at becoming engineers, but they're actually being prepared for marriage.
Targeting 6 communities in Mukono and Luwero district, Joan and her team envision an empowered girl child with social skills that can enable her pave through the barriers that gender stereotypes bring. Wadulo Arnold, UBC News. Furthermore, a senior extension worker in Nakaseke district, Ronald Chitaimbwa, has said that though Uganda has been strategizing on modernization of agriculture and more, farmers still lose money to such preventable post-harvest handling. The extension worker, who are graduates of the Sasakawa Africa Fund for Extension Education, are meeting in Kampala to devise a work plan to retool extension workers in Uganda. These are the details. Farmers and grain traders have lost colossal sums of money when Kenyan authorities slapped a ban on Ugandan maize, citing aflatoxin infestation. According to the Nakaseke District Coordinator, Sasakawa Africa Association, Chitaimbwa Ronald, many farmers are still ignorant about proper harvesting and post-harvesting of produce.
To me, the biggest problem is the retooling of the extension workers, because the first aspect would be how are the extension workers doing their activities vis-a-vis from production up to when post-harvest handling is done.
Chitaimbwa says that the Ministry of Agriculture should come up with farmer learning models which address the entire agriculture value chain.
Like, for example, the village agent model, which talks about marketing, how the trader can come in, help the farmer to market. And if they forget that quality begins from the garden. So I feel we should embrace models like the farmer learning platform, where the farmer is trained how to produce. How to produce begins with demonstrations on how to produce. It goes with the trainings on preparation for production.
The president of the SEF Alumni Association, Christopher Wali Magala, says the consuming of molds or aflatoxins is very dangerous and called upon the line ministry to address the problem urgently.
The biggest challenge stems from the mindset of the farmers first. They want to get quick money. They do all sorts of malpractices, and they don't dry very well because they want to wait, and they dry their maize when it is wet. Sometimes the farmers in some areas spray the green maize to become dry.
Wali Christopher says that government should work toward traceability of some of these dubious farmers if such ill behaviors are to be eliminated.
But how can maize travel from maybe Mubende or Nakasongola up to Busia without a check? There should be checkpoints and sampling at every stage. You are taking maize. When you buy maize, let me say from Chibali, you produce the traceability. Where did you buy this maize from?
Divine Nakede and Nakalembe Christine are pioneer alumni to the Sasakawa Africa Fund for Agriculture Extension. They take note of the great enhancement as a result of this education support.
Finishing my degree, because before we had diploma. When I went back to the district, I was promoted to an agriculture officer and in charge of a sub-county. That already gave me a lot of the scope of working. Now I was the one giving information, the technical advisor for others.
And what I intend to do is to teach these farmers on post-harvest handling. That will help them to improve on the quality and the quantity of the produce that will be able to give out from their farms.
With government now scaling up extension staff and training more, hopefully the knowledge gap amongst will be lessened. I take it that's very good news for Ugandan farmers. We need to really get over this issue of aflatoxins. 11 people were arrested from different camps in Piabona sub-county on Saturday during an operation against illegal charcoal dealers and loggers. Ministry of Water and Environment, in partnership with the National Forestry Authority and the Environmental Police, led by Xavier Sekanabo, carried out this operation.
11 people were arrested from different camps in Piabona sub-county on Saturday during an operation against illegal charcoal dealers and loggers. Ministry of Water and Environment, in partnership with the National Forestry Authority and the Environmental Police, led by Xavier Sekanabo, carried out the swoop. Some of them include Johnson Sejemba and Musa Nsubga, who are said to have been masterminding the logging and charcoal dealings in the area.
We are not going to use the Environmental Act, and we are going to use Section 32, that is the N1 found cutting or destroying any forest without permission commits an offense and is liable to prosecution.
I can't be happy when I see this guy. I was saying this to you, man. You are very stubborn.
The suspects were found in possession of rudimentary tools which they reportedly used to arbitrarily cut down trees for charcoal and logs. Xavier Sekanabo, who led the operation, said that some of the suspects fled from their different areas of operation when they learned of the operation from informers.
Last year, early, around January, we were here for the same operation, but people have not managed to stop. They are continuing. An indication that we did not make a follow-up earlier. This time we hope we shall be here for a long time. The operation is going to cover most of the districts in Acholi, some few districts in Karamoja, few in Lango, and others in.
He disclosed that the week-long operation is being conducted in Acholi and Lango sub-regions, as well as parts of Sorority district. The team also destroyed the dealers' camps and hundreds of charcoal bags and heaps of logs cut from the endangered tree species, including shea tree, mivule, mahogany, among others from different areas.
Our aim is to make sure that these trees which are remaining are contained. You will see in the background that most of the trees that are cut are shea nut trees. And a shea nut tree is an endangered species. It is a tree that provides oil, provides food, adds fertility to the soil. Its lifespan can go up to 300 years, which means it is very useful. But now when people convert it into charcoal, the population loses a lot.
Jimmy Ouna, the NFA manager, Aswa River Range, composing of Acholi and Lango, said that the magnitude of tree destruction in the region is alarming. He appealed for the massive sensitization of the public against indiscriminately destroying natural trees on large scale and the need for reforestation.
Very good initiative right there, and I think to the people carrying out this operation, a more proactive way to handle this will be to make these people plant some more trees. I think that will work proactively. In other news, the Rotaract Kampala Core Club, a charitable organization, has donated modern solar lights to primary and secondary schools in Nachivale refugee settlement in the district of Isinjiro. The president, Rotaract Kampala Core Club, Priscilla Nwabaine, says that Core Light Nachivale project aims at boosting the reading culture among students with perfect educational performance. This follows the deteriorating education standards among the refugee students who cannot access electricity after school.
A recent survey by Rotaract Kampala Core Club has discovered that majority of learners in Nakivale refugee settlement camp have no access to electricity during their personal study after school, and the available locally used products have health risks.
We noticed when we came for the needs assessment that there was a shortage of electricity, and most of the students were using candlelight to do their personal study after school.
The effect of the candles in the local setting and so on, first we have the effect with the sight, not as so brilliant as the power. So you'll find the difference between this person who's using a candle, performance may not be greater than this one with the power.
They go home when it's late and then they don't get time to revise, and when they get time, darkness had come, so they don't revise well because of darkness.
To mitigate problems related to use of local kerosene, Rotaract Kampala Core Club under their project Core Light Up Nakivale have donated modern portable solar lamps to 80 primary and secondary schools in the camp. The president of Rotaract Kampala Core Club, Priscilla Nwine, says this aims at boosting the reading culture and achieve education to learners to refugee students in the district.
I really encourage you to take care of the lights. Take time, make use of them, read. They can even be used for security purposes to the girls who go out at night, maybe to fetch water. You can make use of them as well, but most importantly, please use them to elevate or increase on your time frame of study after you have come back from school.
The country representative, Uganda Right to Light Frank Mpuga, says solar lights are easy to use and will provide security to students.
So it is a light that gets a source from the sun and converts it to light at night, so that the local Tadova does not exist anymore since we are on an elevating level.
The learners and school administrators say Rotary Club assistance is a landmark in improving education in the refugee settlement camp.
We appreciate so much to see how you bring for us light, which will help them to be revising the lesson.
The initiative is so good, and as the institution we appreciate.
We have no electricity, we are going to be using them in that time of revising.
The thing that is going to help us is to achieve education, because we're going to improve on our reading. We believe that now soon we are going to perform well.
The 8 benefiting primary and secondary schools include Nakivale Secondary School, Kashojwa Standard School, Hope Center Primary School, Juru and Nakivale Primary Schools in Isingiro District. The Rotaract Kampala Core Club is part of the Rotary International Fraternity, which extends services to needy communities in Nakivale settlement through annual community service projects.
Now, graduates from Busitema University have been urged to maintain the zeal of job creation and be honest. Now, this was at a graduation event held at Nyumbani Hotel in Kampala.
Busitema University alumni have been advised to embrace good working ethos, including job creation for sustainable livelihood. This was at a graduation dinner held at Nyumbani Hotel and officiated by Engineer Asimwe Jordan. Graduates were urged to choose the right friends as they mingle with the business fraternity.
Why do they call you? Why do they call you on the table? You need to be unique among others. The first point is you need to be unique among yourselves. Today you have all graduated. You have the same person, you have the same transcript, you have the same certificates, you have the same documents. But how are you unique among others? That is very important.
The graduates majored in engineering, agriculture and technology, among others. Engineer Asimwe encouraged them to appreciate and start small with the qualifications achieved so far, other than higher qualifications.
So we are not going to do masters because we are unemployed. I want you to be realistic. Why are you going for masters? Even when you haven't known the problem in the community, you haven't known the problem you have.
The graduates, however, want government to support them with startups capital in their various fields as they begin their work life. They commended their parents and guardians for the support that has been given to them so far.
To give us that platform, to give us
the film will give us whatsoever is necessary so that at least we exploit out our skills, we give out our skills for the development of it.
As a serious step in life, because there's a way how it changes someone to be not as so much ignorant about everything, but to have the courage to participate in all things that they don't know and get to learn every day and every day.
Now, his appointment as Deputy Resident District Commissioner in 2003 saw him shift from teaching in secondary school to national service. 17 years later, he realized and retreated to farming in Sironko District as his fallback position after being relieved of his duties in the recent RDC reshuffles. Isaac Lulaba is the immediate former Resident District Commissioner, Sironko District, and he features tonight in our Personality Outlook.
He was not surprised when he was appointed Deputy RDC Bugiri District in 2003. But his recent relief from official duties as RDC Sironko surprised him. It is a docket that he had passionately served for 17 years after shifting his service capability from being a teacher at Mbale Secondary School.
I knew the president and some of his personnel at State House were impressed with our work, the team that I worked with under the Uganda National Students Association. But I did not very much anticipate deployment at that level.
It is a leadership journey that dates back to his days while at school. Born in 1970, Isaac Lulaba belongs to the Bumulyanyuma sub-clan of the Bawakoko clan in Manafa district. He is a product of Robert Abnawangwe and Victoria Nabachwa of the Ngonge clan of the Baganda.
My original home is only about 500 meters away from the district headquarters in Manafa district, although I grew up more in Mbale town.
He attended North Road Primary School in Mbale, from where he completed his primary leaving examinations in 1984. He would join Nkoma Secondary School, still in Mbale, from where he attained Uganda Certificate of Education in 1988. Masaba Secondary School in Sironko was his next stop for Uganda Advanced Certificate of Education that he completed in 1991. Ironically, the same school he would return to teach at after qualifying as a secondary school teacher before being transferred to Mbale SS.
Working as a teacher was simply carrying through with my experience as a student leader, but also one who liked interacting with the lower cadreship. So I enjoyed it really, I must say. And it was actually more gratifying when my students passed well. Because when I went to Masaba SS, I revolutionized the divinity department.
It was during his teaching service at Mbale Secondary School that he was appointed Deputy RDC Bugiri, to the happiness of his family, friends and workmates.
I was excited, and that marked a turning point in my life. Because yes, away from being a classroom teacher, and of course having been a student leader, now I was being given bigger responsibility to serve as a national leader in the office of the Resident District Commissioner.
Known for being a mobilizer for the common good and a promoter of socio-economic transformation, these leadership credentials did not come from nowhere, because he has been a leader almost all his school life.
While I come from Bugisu sub-region, all that time, since 2003, I had not had opportunity to serve in the Bugisu sub-region. So this was the first time in Sironko, where I served for 2 years until January. It was 2 years and some months on. I think about December, January, about 3 months when I was relieved of that responsibility.
Serving as deputy, and full RDC for the last 17 years combined, Isaac Lulaba blames his recent relief from duties on COVID-19.
So when I tested positive sometime in November, I had to go into home isolation. But still within Sironko district, because my working home was in Sironko district. But I maintained contact with the deputy DC, with the DPC, with the DSO, and I made sure they knew that I had a problem. But what I hear is the sample say, Lulaba, you had abandoned office, you are not working. Therefore, you betrayed the trust of the deploying authority. You might want to sit from this side.
He has now embarked on farming, embracing modern practices. His focus is mainly on coffee, matoke and trees. Ventures he looks forward to expanding.
So should we have those rains, we expect this crop to do better, both the bananas and the coffee. And beyond the first season A and then season B, we think that they will be in position to withstand the sunshine better in the dry spell from December stretching through until the next season rains of 2022.
With ambitions to introduce apiary, also known as beekeeping, this is not only working for him, but others who indirectly are getting employed under his scheme.
Now in the eucalyptus trees, I have placed an order for about 30 beehives. As of now, the carpenter has been able to make 10 beehives. I expect that by the end of a week from now, I'll have 20 beehives. And so working with the officer responsible for apiary in the production department, we'll go and have them installed in the eucalyptus trees. And I start on that as another enterprise besides this that we have.
In doing all this, however, it has not been without shortcomings and setbacks, as he holds this newspaper, published in 2007. The trauma of his missing father remains fresh. He was kidnapped and believed to have been killed in 1977 by soldiers of General Idi Amin. This left the then 7-year-old Isaac Lulaba an orphan, a trauma he still suffers to date.
He happened to have gone for work, but then I'm told that security operatives of the time were looking for him, and they had considered that he might have been one of those that were recruiting for the rebels in Tanzania at that time. So when they picked him on that day, 14th March 1977, he was taken and we didn't see him anymore.
As he retreats to farming, he still wishes he was still in national service, insisting that contracting coronavirus was just beyond him.
I've had to do a lot of explaining, but I'm not aware of anything, and that is partly the reason I didn't see it coming, because I thought I was doing my work well.
A father and a husband, Lulaba was raised by a single mother following the disappearance and death of his father. The man who officially handed over office of RDC Sironko on January 20th, 2021, always endeavors to find time for his family. Henry Okurut, UBC.
And the Personality Outlook takes us for a short commercial break. When we return, we'll be back with more news tonight, so stay tuned.
Kapo, you seem to be in a hurry. Where are you going to?
I'm going to pay URA visit.
But you can access URA online. Why pay a visit?
To know more about the Kakasa Business Solutions, namely digital tracking solution, the voluntary disclosure program and electronic fiscal receipting and invoicing solution, which have turned my business around. You know I need to be on top of my game to protect my empire. If you know, you know.
I too need to know what Kapo knows.
Kakasa,
Be sure you are in charge of your business. Uganda Revenue Authority, developing Uganda together. It's better to foster respect instead of fear and pain.
Cause a good school equals a better life.
Raising voices.
Wait.
No one should stop you from finishing what's yours. That's why MTN gives you data bundles that don't expire. Load MTN Freedom Bundles using My MTN app and enjoy the freedom to finish your data bundles. MTN.
Today tastes like a new tradition, like an old favorite. Tastes like all hands on deck and all eyes on the prize. Today tastes like a piece of the action, and it never tasted this good.
That's their way of stopping HIV. What about you?
Welcome back. You're still watching the UBC News Tonight, broadcasting live from Nile Avenue. We now take you to the world of business. The Ministry of Internal Affairs Directorate of Immigrations and Citizenship has launched the e-passport services at the Mbarara Regional Passport Office. Mbarara Regional Immigration Office, that serves over 20 districts in southwestern Uganda, is the first regional immigration office in the country to roll out this service.
The Director of Citizenship and Immigration Control, Major General Kasita Goa, has said that the centralization of the e-passport services to the regional offices brings service closer to the people.
The onus now is upon us as government functionaries to make sure that we preserve, we protect what's given to government. Because many times we find that we're very weak in maintaining government property, looking after government property. People we break and then we just throw out the window and whatever. But let's protect this.
Brigadier Johnson Namanya, the Commissioner for Citizenship and Passport Control, urged the people in the region to make use of the offices, as it will save them the burden of traveling to Kampala and risks of conmen there.
You're still few people for the Western region in terms of information to this place, but when you're many, definitely we will have probably to put a tent here in the interim, and when you are disciplined, we'll have no problem because the place is small. We'll shape you and get his or her.
Namanya assured that as the staff increases and the population demand of passports, the immigration offices shall mobilize and construct on its plot next to current offices in Barara, which is located along Barara-Kabale Highway. Presiding over the function, the Resident City Commissioner Lieutenant Colonel Mwesigi James urged officials at the passport offices to make the process of acquiring the passports friendly to Ugandans.
Let's now take a short break and be back with more news tonight.
Today tastes like a new tradition, like an old favorite. Tastes like all hands on deck and all eyes on the prize. Today tastes like a piece of the action, and it never tasted this good.
Indeed, there was a short break. Now, it is nearly a year now since the COVID-19 crisis continues to take its toll on the aviation industry, creating uncertainty for airlines around the world. According to the Uganda Civil Aviation Authority, the pandemic impacted aviation operations to the extent that commercial aircraft movements reduced from 32,798 in 2019 to 14,437 in 2020. Now, with countries rolling out vaccinations, many industry watchers believe that the sector has sights on recovery. We have Samuel Senono with a report.
There is no argument that the COVID-19 pandemic has upended the aviation sector to unprecedented levels. Reports indicate that it will take years for the industry to bounce back. With government slowly easing on the lockdown restrictions, countries are, however, yet to decide on a template of travel amidst the COVID-19 crisis. Globally, airlines are working with the airline trade body International Air Transport Association to test a new travel pass. The system, which includes a mobile app, aims to allow passengers demonstrate COVID-19 vaccination and testing records, while also identifying testing and vaccination requirements for different locations and local testing centers accessible during travel. Locally, travel is slowly picking up. According to Vianney Luja, the spokesperson of Uganda Civil Aviation Authority, there is an increase in aircraft movement at Entebbe International Airport.
These numbers have increased progressively because in the first part of resumption of passenger operations, that was October to December 2020, we were permitting only one flight per airline per day. When it came to January onwards, we allowed airlines to operate 2 flights per airline per day. But those with traffic have an opportunity to even operate more flights. But in spite of that, the passenger traffic is not yet at the level at which it was.
In fact, in January 2020, the airport handled 24,095 arriving passengers. In the same month, it handled 29,409 departing passengers, while 4,279 passengers transited through the airport. 58,000 metric tons of cargo were handled in 2020 compared to 42,000 metric tons handled in 2019.
Were sustained even during the lockdown. And during that time, many airlines reconfigured their commercial passenger aircraft to be able to handle cargo operations. So in the area of cargo, we registered an increase. But for the airport, the biggest revenue comes from passengers. So the fact that passenger traffic reduced and is still low means that the income is also affected the same way.
Cornwall Mlea, the CEO of Uganda Airlines, says the loads on the routes they currently operate so far look impressive.
In terms of passengers, some markets reacted quite well. We know for the route to Mogadishu, there we have very good loads. Our flight to South Sudan are also quite good, as well as Nairobi. The others, we have been adjusting frequencies in response to demand because the markets have not yet picked up. But generally, if we compare to the traffic levels before the pandemic, we are still a long way from what we used to see in those key areas. For the Africa region and East Africa, we are talking at least 30% of the traffic that used to fly here is what we are seeing now. So we are still looking to better times ahead.
However, Tewolde Gebremariam, the CEO of Ethiopian Airlines, says for African airlines to stay afloat, governments must act.
Most airlines in Europe and America are getting bailout money from their governments, or they are accessing the capital market by selling bonds. But airlines in Africa do not have this opportunity. Their governments are not able to bail them out because of the very bad economic situations. There is no also capital market where they can access or debt or equity in either form. So it is very, very bad in Africa.
IATA is also engaging governments world over to consider those in the aviation sector as frontline workers during the COVID-19 vaccinations. Samuel Senono, UBC News.
In the world of sports, the Ugandan she crane notched up a second massive victory over the Namibian Deb Marine Desert Jewels in the Spa Challenge Tri-Nations Netball Tournament at the Cape Town Convention Center, beating them by 59 goals to 30. Namibia started off strongly and at one stage were 5 goals ahead in the first quarter before sharing the quarter 9 all. However, the She Cranes came back strongly after the break, shutting the Deb Marine Desert Jewels down. Their shooting circle was superb and the Namibian defenders struggled to keep the goal tally down. But by halftime, Uganda had 26-17 lead, having outscored Namibia by 17 goals to 8. Namibia battled in the third quarter, getting only 5 goals in the net to 17 for Uganda. In the final quarter, Uganda scored 16 and Namibia 8. Discipline proved a big problem for Namibia, who conceded 71 penalties during the match. The Ugandan captain center, Stella Oyela, was named most valuable player.
Change goes because Nanfuka is the ball winner for Uganda. So
in other sports news, the national football team, the Cranes, arrived safely in Malawi ahead of the AFCON final qualifying game on Monday. A 23-man squad and officials boarded the uncharted Uganda Airlines flight and had light training drills at the Kamuzu Stadium, the same venue for the game. Uganda played to a goalless draw against Burkina Faso, who later qualified for the final tournament on 9 points. Team captain Dennis Onyango is among the 4 goalkeepers on the traveling team that also has Turkish best playmaker Faruk Umia, William Raga, Chizito Nicholas, Wadada Joseph, Benson Ochaya, and Mike Azira, among others. Uganda needs a draw to progress, while Malawi needs maximum points to make it to Cameroon. Burkina Faso, on the other hand, hosts South Sudan in a formality game after a later confirmed qualification. The Uganda Cranes, on 8 points in Group B, need just a point, while the Flames of Malawi are in for maximum points to return to the coveted tournament for the first time since 2020. So Uganda Cranes truly need our prayers. And that brings us to the end of our 10 o'clock bulletin. Thank you for keeping us company, and I'm honored to give you the news with Mugalu Mohammed on sign language. From the team, we must say good night and have yourselves a lovely week.